So today we begin portraiture, and I want to give you a little explanation about how to approach portraiture during this whole month. So once a year, I insert a portraiture month, and very often there's such trepidation among students that now they're going to start to make faces, and they can't even draw a line, and then how are they going to make faces? So there's a whole lot of fear about the subject of portraits, and that fear is quite valid because when we think about portraits, we think about paintings of people who look exactly like the person. And then that you feel, how am I ever going to get to that level? Even if you've tried portraits before, everyone in the beginning makes all sorts of shapes. There's always something that is not matching. Eyes are not aligned, nose is somewhere else, proportions are all over the place. So unfortunately, this is the way you go forward. There are two, three different types of techniques which artists have developed, which help you understand at least basic proportions in a face. But if you just apply logic, you realize that while everyone has got the same number of features, it's just the slight differences here and there that make each face unique. So we have to learn to spot those differences. And whatever technique you use, whichever technique has got, whether it's a grid method, whether it is that Loomis method, you draw an oval first, you draw a circle first. At the end of the day, you have to be able to observe the minute differences in faces through understanding how shapes and proportions work. So the portrait module is like a litmus test. every After every few months of classes, you do a little bit of a test to see how well have you improved in two different areas of learning. One is observation, and the other is the ability to control your line, and how well you put these two together. At the end of the day, that is all we have to do with art. You have to see something and you have to have the ability to translate that onto paper in two dimension. So while we're going through this process, I'm not going to throw you into the deep end by giving you a picture putting you in front of a mirror and asking you to do your own portrait. We will do a portrait of a person in a very realistic manner, and I will show you how to approach that as well. But we are going to take steps going to that. I'm today going to show you how to create an abstract portrait. This is very easy because we are going to take real live uh, photographs and convert them into graphic images that resemble those photographs. So for the most part, the picture is going to be just like a facsimile of something that you are seeing. It is not going to be identical, and it is going to allow you a certain amount of I guess, variety of skill levels and yet arrive at something pleasing to the eye. You're not going to feel totally embarrassed about making this portrait. So I'm going to show you the pictures that I've selected and speak a little bit about that. And then I'm going to break down the face into just some basic proportions and shapes so you understand how to build a face. And then we are going to create one of these faces. The faces that I have chosen today are very embellished. You have a face which is now, in this case, covered with a very vibrant headscarf and a lot of jewelry. This face has got a very dramatic makeup all around the eyes. This is definitely some kind of North American native culture. We can recreate this as well, focusing more on the color than the features. This is an excellent topic where no matter what kind of face you make, you just cover it up with paint. And something like this can give you so many creative ideas to make this into an artifact to put up on a wall for display. Now, here's something even more rustic. A lot of primitive cultures have got certain typical jewelry that they would wear that helps us identify them from other tribes. And I found this one very dramatic, so much so that in drawing of these artifacts, We could even completely ignore the face and we would still be able to make a statement. And this one, of course, I have a feeling has been created by AI, our biggest competitor now in life. So it's beautiful. We just go with how the picture has brought together so many different elements, so much color, and the kind of contrasts that are available to us. And we're going to try and recreate one of these. So before we choose a picture, and I'll allow you to choose a picture, I want to show you how to look at a face, how to proportion it, and how to draw the various features. So first and foremost, we start with the outline of the face. I'm going to show you the breakdown of the face on the left-hand side, and then we will use all of this and recreate a bigger face on the right. Like I have been saying in the past, that we want to make our page look well composed. Ideally, whatever trials, brush marks, pencil marks you want to make it in the left half along with the rest of the sketches. Write your notes over here. And then on the right hand side, keep it pristine. Do not mar that edge too much. And you don't need to draw a line. Just keep a visual barrier between where the final work is going to come and where we are going to do our rough work. I'm going to be distributing my work this way. If in the event that you want to make more sketches than you have room for over here, feel free to use the back of the page for the pencil work so that we can still make the final artwork on the right. All right, so all faces start with some kind of oval or ovoid shape. When you make this shape, for the moment, just make a random oval shape like so. This shape is now going to be divided vertically and horizontally in halves. Now this is point 1. We're going to mark this as line number 1 and then divide the top and the bottom into further 2 halves. So we have 2 and 3. 1 is in the middle, 2 is on top, 3 is at the bottom. And between 3 and the bottom of the oval, again we will divide it with another line, which we will number 4. So in this, number 1 is going to be our eye line. Number 2 is going to be our hair line. Number 3 is going to be our nose. Number 4 is going to be mouth. And in this orientation of the face, our ears are going to come between the eye and the nose in this form. Just a small curve. This proportion is at best a starting point. If we were to take all of our faces and try to give some lines first and then work out the proportion, there is going to be some adjustment over here. So when you are making faces, for making abstract faces, this is excellent. We are just going to go with whatever proportion you can make. Now we have to add some features to the face to make it look like a full face with eyes, nose, mouth. In order to draw eyes, I'm going to give you a very simple technique. This is what we will use to draw abstract or eyes in an abstract face. We can draw the whole face over here if you want. Start off with, for right-handed people, start off with drawing the left eye first and then the right eye. And when you draw this, keep the distance between the eyes about the same as the curve that you make. Shali, while you're drawing, please hold the book. Then your line becomes a little, smoother. Now, for the lower lid, we will draw a slightly shallower line. And don't be in a rush to join the two lines. Don't join at the corner. Usually in a realistic eye, which we're going to make, there is like a little tear duct in the center. So it's a slight separation from these two eyes. It's not like an almond shape pinched end. So it's good to just keep that option open. Sometimes we just join them. Sometimes we keep them open. Now above this, we're going to make a fold, which is going to be almost parallel to the curve of the eye. Sometimes this fold is further away on the inner corner from the tip, from the edge of the eye, and closer towards the outer corner. In most eyes, that is the proportion. About the same height as the eye itself, if you draw a line above the eye and draw a horizontal line, this gives you a guideline for where your eyebrow might come. This is just a guideline. We are not going to make straight eyebrows. Our faces will start looking like Dr. Spock in that then otherwise. So a little bit of anatomy over here. The eye is a circle or a sphere which is contained within the eye socket. Okay, you don't have to draw this. I just want to explain this to you. So there is a wonderful documentary by Richard Dawkins about the evolution of the eye, in which it is true that this part of the eye, which we see, is actually a slit opened out of, if you can imagine the face just being a sheath of skin where light sensitive organs have grown, and in order to see better, a slit has just evolved. So the eye looks like a slit which you could probably cut into even a piece of fabric or something and then stretch it open. So that is why we have this fold on top, and over here, obviously, because it doesn't open up as much, we don't have a fold over here. So with that in mind, you should know that the eye should be contained within this eye socket in such a way that the pupil, which is also a complete and proper circle, must appear in such a form that when it peeps out of this slit, it can see the outside world properly. So in this case, often what happens is there are eyes which are drawn like that. There's an eye like this, you'll draw this, and this is fine. And then something like that happens. This will mean that the pupil is this large, which will look very weird. So avoid something like that. Try to figure out what you're drawing and why you're drawing it that way. Now in both eyes, we are going to make the pupil the exact same size. And right in the center of that, concentric always, you will make the lens. So this lens is always going to be in the center of this concentric circle. If it is a little off center, it will technically make the person look squint or even visually impaired. Now to make the eyes look alive, we put a little bit of a highlight. So I'm putting an oval shape on the top left in both the pupils. This is also something that people mistake and will make, because they make the two eyes as mirror opposites of each other. The highlight will also sometimes be moved. One will be on the top left, one will be on the top right. That is wrong as well. And there is a reason for this. Both eyes are on the front of the face, and in both Though the structure may be different, the highlight comes from the exposure of light. And in this case, the light is coming from the top left. So in both eyes, you will see the highlight in the same place. Now we shade this very simply. You can make one light color throughout. So this will be the color application: brown, blue, green, red, whatever you want to do. And then we will add a little bit of a shadow in the top 1/3 or 1/2 of the pupil. If we put uniform color on the eye, they look like somebody has stretched the eye. They look very unnatural. And this shadow also extends on the upper lid. When we go to more realistic eyes, I'll show you even more details in making this. Ashwita, hold the book. Hold the book. Right. Now, observe your eyes and see whether they're both looking in the same direction. If they're not, a few things could be off. The distances between the pupil and the inner corner and outer corner, those could be adjusted. You don't have to erase the eye. You can just erase or adjust the lines and then erase whatever is not working. Now we've already marked the area where we have the eyebrow. If we want to draw a very dramatic eyebrow, then that eyebrow will have a certain structure which is related to the nose. So from the edge of the eye, we will drop a line a certain distance. And this proportion is often really tricky. Most beginners will make very long noses and very short mouths. So I'm going to just visually ask you to look at maybe an equilateral triangle from the eye coming downward to give you a starting point. This is going to be the tip of the nose where we will draw a very light circle. And here we are going to make a shape like this. With a very gentle nostril on the side. My eyes have become too big for this nose. My nose could have become longer and bigger. And they're too close also, but it's okay. This is all abstract. Now from this tip, going through the eye, going back on the line from where we drew this equilateral triangle, if you draw a line going straight up, the end of the line can come to a point where you can then arch the eyebrow. Eyebrows are in a loosely concentric shape around the eye. They are exactly over our brow bone. Our brow bone is on the edge of the optic, now what is this called? The socket, the eye socket. So there are many different shapes of eyebrows. You can make them straight or you can just tilt it inward a little bit. So start from a little below the line, the straight line, and then take a curved line to the corner and out. So it's like a diagonal line that comes outward, touches the line. First from the left of the line, you come down, and then you go and touch the line, and then you make a nice curve around the eye, and then complete the eyebrow like this. The eyebrows on either side will be different in shape. If they're identical, they will look very robotic. We don't want that. For today, we are just going to fill the eyebrow with a plain dark shade. Now, as you can see, there can be lots of variations in this proportion as well. If your eyebrows look too far away, bring this lower. If they're too close, take the line higher. All this will be easier to adjust once we finish this face. Now, if we were to plot a line like this, where we have drawn a line from the eye, from the corner of the eye to the nose, and if we see the distance between this, the corner of the eye and the nose, and we halve it, this is the distance at which we can consider drawing the mouth. Again, these are only a few pointers so that you at least get a proportion to begin with. Otherwise, after you've drawn this, you don't know where you have to start the mouth itself. So going by the logic we've used over here, we have an eye line, a quarter of the height of the oval, we have the nose line, and an eighth of the distance away, which is half the distance between the eye and nose, we have the mouth. We use the same logic, eye line, nose line, halfway through that, extended beyond, we get the mouth. This can be the top of the mouth also, middle of the mouth also. But as we are seeing it over here, I'm going to make this the middle. And I'm going to draw a line that comes a little up on the sides and makes a gentle bowl-like shape. On the sides, I'm going to draw these slight vertical lines. Just these lines will help the face look like it's a little fleshy. Right below the nose, at some distance, you can make a V shape, but don't make it a very sharp V shape. Just turn the lip around and come towards the corner. You don't have to join it to the exact point. You can just bring the line towards and leave it unjoined or unconnected as well. And again, a small distance below, you can make a line like this. Bring another line towards the corner, but you don't have to connect it. You can connect it if you feel like it, and you can leave it loose if you feel like it. And sometimes you can just leave it with just the bottom lip shown. Every line that we make in pencil can be so stark that it looks like it has been drawn on the face. Most of the features that we have on our face are very soft. They blend into each other. But the pencil doesn't allow us to do that kind of blended line. So everything starts looking a little too sharp. Okay, so you've got all the features. All right, now let's try making that on the face. Start from the center. Wait, before we start from the center. On each hemisphere, vertically divided hemisphere of the face, mark a point where you want the eye to be. And first, just draw a shape above that and below that, and visualize the eye. The distance between the eyes is equal to the distance or the width of the eye. It's more or less. So try to maintain that so that your eyes don't come too close or they don't go too far apart. Once you have this, look at how far the ear or the end or edge of the face is. We want the end of the face to be about this distance. The distance from the corner of the eye to the middle of the nose. So you might have to make an adjustment to the face. And now we can start drawing the features. There are lots of little physiological things that you will learn as we go along. Like the pupil is always connected to the top lid. And as the top lid moves, the pupil also moves according to that. On rare occasions, the pupil touches the bottom lid. And that completely changes the face, what the face is trying to tell us. Now, in my face over here, I think the nose has gone too low. So I'm going to take it a little higher. By taking it higher, I'm not going to change this line or anything. I'm going to leave the nose line where it is, but I'm going to make that shape a little higher. And I'm going to pull the mouth a little higher as well. I'm just going to make the top lip and leave the bottom lip just like this, like I was telling you. There will be a time when you won't have to do all of these things. But this is just training wheels for now. Now we just draw the shape of the face. So come from the sides of the eyes, make a nice chin here. This can be a little tricky. So break up the shape. Usually we have some cheekbones, at least in pictures we have cheekbones. And often the line of the cheekbones itself will come down and become the face. Sometimes you have the cheekbones come inward, but we don't have to make that. Now from the eyes, you make a slightly narrow curve for the ears. Bring the ears in also because our cheeks, our features have come inward a little bit. Now here's something that I wanted to speak about. If you have tried making a portrait before, we see that often people will make the hair like this and something like this. And the top of the head often looks squished. It's happened to me, and I've seen a lot of people do that. And this is because I think, evolutionarily speaking, all the information that the brain needs to figure out who this person is lies only in this part of the face. When was the last time you recognized somebody by their hair? Hardly anyone. So if the brain is made to draw a face, it will only focus on this, and then you will try to look at the picture and you'll make something like that. You'll make a forehead, and then you'll make the hair, and then you don't know why, proportionately, it's looking wrong. So here, for some time, allow your brain to relax and extend the line to higher than, sometimes it can go even higher than the forehead line or hairline that we made, and give a shape that's pretty tall and voluminous, and you'll start seeing the face in that. Now below this, we have to draw a neck. And you can use these proportions to extend the line down. You can see if we take the line down from the mouth, corners of the mouth, we get a very, very thin neck. Suppose we take it from the middle of the pupils. Okay, this might look good. Sometimes it can be the end of the eye. This might look good. So somewhere over here is the neck. The real neck that we do is actually much bigger than what we see over here. So we just need to find some kind of guideline where the neck can look elegant, but not like a bodybuilder. All right, how are your faces looking?
Adi, could you tell me again the hairline? What did you say about that hairline? I missed it.
So with the hairline, we have to try and give it some room for hair.
Okay.
Hair usually has some volume.
Okay.
And very often we land up making the forehead too tiny. It needs
Mm-hmm.
to be a little bigger. So once we've drawn this oval shape, try to draw the line above the hairline, this line above, and see how it is looking. There is a certain I think you will be able to figure out even yourselves that the hair is too close to the eyes, unless, of course, the person has a fringe, then, of course, it will be this low. But if there isn't a fringe, if the hair is just left loose, there will be a line which allows for a large-ish or decent size forehead. And then above that also, there will be almost the same amount of distance left for the hair to sit, which we often don't give. We will end the head over here because we just don't see it in the beginning.
I don't know. How does that look? You see,
Let's see.
like, where is it not?
I think it's good. I think it's good. The space between the mouth and the nose can increase.
Also, one eye is gone.
Yeah, it might have shifted a little bit. And there's a chance that it's done this because the book was probably a little to your right and you compensated for it. So
Yeah.
you need to keep it right in front of you. But anyway, this was just to become
Yeah,
familiar with
that
this.
happens. Here also, so the eyes are up and down.
Yeah. So when you're drawing eyes, you have to look at the eyes at a perpendicular angle.
Okay.
Let's see.
The size of the eye, what I've noticed, like the distance between the eyeball and this is different here. Like the eyeball is smaller in one, and I think
No, the
that's
eyeball is not smaller. The eyeball is the right size. The lid is bending a lot more in one and a little less in the other. If
okay.
you adjust the lid, you'll be able to do it. And the
Yeah.
V shape that you've made for the mouth, that V shape must be a little higher than the center line. Sorry, I'm over here.
If you can explain that,
Yeah.
please.
So the V shape that I see you have made is touching, at least in the small face. This is the line, and the V shape is almost touching. This looks like a very 20s actress makeup. They used to make their lips look very small and very thin. So 100 years ago, having fat lips was considered very tribal, I think. So they would make their lips smaller by painting and liner inside of their lips. Fat lips were considered ugly. And now it's exactly the reverse. Fat lips, fat, thick eyebrows. So this exercise that I've given you, if you can practice it frequently, you'll start making different kinds of faces. You will start making shapes on either side, making a curve on the right, curve on the left, then drawing the pupils a certain way, shading a certain way. And this practice alone will be able to expose you to different kinds of proportions in the face. This exercise is absolutely vital if we want to come to a place where you can see your face and make it look exact. because in that you will already start seeing what proportions each of the features is. Almost maybe 90% of the people in the world do not have the same features on the left and the right. It's asymmetrical in many ways. And you can test that out. Very often we don't like our own faces when we see them as selfies, which have flipped around. You say this is somebody else. It's very disturbing. So that's a good thing for artists, because then you don't have to make an identical feature on both sides, but you have to focus on each feature and make it exactly the way you see it in the place that it should be. This practice of drawing the grid and making the features will help you to build that observation. All right. Now, do you want to choose which picture you want to make from all of these images?
The simplest.
Which do you think is the simplest?
The black and white one was really nice. It
The
was,
black and white one, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we could
I
do the
think-
black and white one.
Yeah. I think so. That one and the one you said it's very rustic.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the horns.
yeah, that also.
That's
we
nice.
can do.
Yeah,
So
that's nice.
give me a vote on which one you'd like to make.
I'm happy to practice any, not a problem.
All right, okay. So let's go with the black and white one. It has a different potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's try and do that. Since today our task is to make abstract portraits, we are using the face as like a mold onto which we are going to add embellishments to make an artifact out of that. So in this case now, I'm going to have to imagine how the head of the face is. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the face exactly like how we made, minus the eyebrows. We don't need to make the eyebrows. We make the nose, we make the mouth, and we will draw a flower, a nice marigold flower in the mouth. Very strangely, this face also has got something that looks like an eggplant sticking out of the ear. Let's make it, because this could be some kind of cultural tradition that that these people might have. You never know, but it adds a lot of curiosity. And in the top, I don't, maybe we can draw some more marigold flowers. There are some beads over here, and the rest of it, we can make it like an afro. Right. So first, let's budget our space. So much space is good enough, where even the hair and the flowers and all can be included. So start off with drawing a very light oval shape. And we follow the same process. Draw a line running through the center, vertically, horizontally. Break the horizontal spaces into eyes, nose, mouth regions. Now, if we want to show the eyes like the person that we have seen, they are not as round. They are slightly shallow. The bottom and the top are connected in this case because we are going to have to color it from all around.
I wanted to check one thing with you, Aditi.
Huh.
When you are drawing these lines and when you have the book, is the book at an angle or are you like directly above your book?
Neither actually. I'll just show you. Directly above is the camera.
Ah,
So I am at about 75 degrees from the book. So
okay.
I am compensating for what I see. So I come very close, as close as I can, maybe level with the camera that's sitting right here, so that I can see that these two are in line.
Hmm. Okay.
But if you feel it more comfortable, you can always tilt your book so that you can sit back and draw comfortably. That's perfectly okay.
Yeah, this seems, I think there's something uncomfortable. I'll have to change my chair. I don't want to do it today.
Okay.
It's,
So it's perfectly fine to sit back and sketch as well.
yeah, it's feeling like much more at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, that's fine. When you're at the table, it will be 45, 30 also. Anything is fine as long as you are see. You'll be able to see whether or not there is a parallax, whether that
Sure,
angle is changing anything or not.
sure.
I'm making multiple lines right now because later on we can make this in pen and then we'll paint it. The nose is fairly wide in this face, so I'm going to make that part like this. And the nostrils on the side also become a little wider. There's a lot in the shape of the nose that indicates the ethnicity. Now this face also, apart from um, the marigold flower, this person has got really beautiful sized lips. So now we want to draw an open mouth. That's very easy to do as well. Just draw the sides of the mouth first, like we did. Draw a line that's slightly more bent than the previous line at the bottom. And for the top, a little ways inside of this line, inside of the corner, where you will draw another curve like this. So when drawing the mouth, avoid making the mouth in this manner, even if it's open. So you have the mouth like this, and then you draw like this, and then you draw a mouth like this. Anything in the face is about making folds, skin folding into each other. Everywhere we have a fold and an overlap. So in this case, we have the lower, you can have the upper lip folding in, and the lower lip comes a little from the inside of the ends of the upper lip. And then you can draw the nice shapely upper lip and also a shapely lower lip. The lower lip is often bigger than the upper lip. Now, if you can shape the eyes like you see in the photograph, go ahead and do them. Or you can just join the corners and that's fine. Before we go any further, we can make that marigold, which is just a circle, and draw a few petals on all sides. So your mouth is largely going to be covered. And that's a good thing because we don't want to show teeth. Now let's draw the pupils looking straight at us. This person's eyes are really dark, but we can change that. We'll use some artistic license. So draw the center lens and then draw the highlight. I'm drawing the highlight on the top right. Now, before we draw anything else, let's make the sides of the eyes. Like I said, measure the distance from the inner corner of the eye to the center line And keep the same distance on the sides of the eyes. If not, sometimes it'll even be less. My chin over here is looking quite proportionate, so I'm keeping that. And then I am making the sides of the face. So there's a little bump here, a little bump here, and then we come into the chin. This is looking okay. No, it's too narrow. Extend the line up. Now at the hairline, instead of hair, we will draw some marigold flowers. And we could draw a wobbly line for the remainder part of the hairline. We don't have to draw flowers throughout. Then from the eyes to the nose, the ears will be drawn. I'm just going to quickly look for a picture somewhat like this. There are these beads, but I don't know what to do with the beads. So we can, I suppose, ignore it. Yeah. So let's make a wobbly line go around the head like this. So this is even higher than the oval that I've made. Now we have to paint. Oh, actually, wait, we have to show this eggplant. And we draw the neck. And just for the sake of, I guess, design, we could make some kind of beaded necklace to end the face here. Once your face is done, you can darken these lines with a pen. We are going to be making that texture of black and white in paint. So don't make that texture. But I just want to erase the unnecessary lines. I'm using a 0.1. Then you can draw everything behind it.
What's the, you use 0.1?
Yes.
Would some structures change between like genders also? Like a neck would be thicker because it's male, or does that also?
Yeah, certainly. Yes. A lot of features will change according to gender, age, of course, ethnicity. Um, I suppose, what else could there be? Like, for example, if you want to show the age of a person, it's in, apart from the wrinkly skin, it is also in the proportionate size of the pupil in the eye. So the younger the person, the larger the pupil fills the eye, because the eyeball is the only organ apparently that does not grow through the lifetime, but the skin around the eye will grow. So it becomes wider and wider, whereas the eyeball remains the same. Then other things like men have a much squarer jawline. They have thicker necks often. And that's just, I guess, the testosterone. A project like that is a very nice practice project for multiple reasons. One, because you don't have to worry about your face looking like the face you're drawing. Two, when you're making an artwork from a photograph as a reference image and you make certain changes, you can practice also making some kind of original art. And I think for many people, that is a desire they harbor. A lot of times I've heard people say that I can look at anything and I can draw, but nothing original comes to me. Just yesterday, I had a class in which there were a few people lamenting about that. So, an exercise like that helps you practice making choices for an artwork that do not exist in your reference image. You're not copying somebody else's choices. So you can think about color, form, shape, proportion, the same things, and think about what you would like to add and why you would like to add it. Like, for example, I love making afro hair. I love the texture. I love the whole bulk that it brings to a photograph. It's so dominating. But for some people, that might be too intense in a picture, and they might prefer the picture of the lady with the straight hair in a portrait. But they might also enjoy what this face offers, all the colors and everything. So instead of making this afro, there could have been somebody who would have made the hair straight. Adding that personal touch to the illustration makes it somewhat close to an original illustration.
Before I go ahead and pen, could you just look at it once? Yeah, it's looking
Yes.
like that.
Okay, the left eye on your picture is higher than the right
Okay.
eye. So it's looking a little stretched from the left side, and here it's looking crunched. So maybe you can bring that a little lower.
Okay.
The other thing is the neck is not so curved. It is
Okay.
largely straight as it leaves the face and then turns towards the side. So not a curve in the middle like a waistline. The rest I
Okay.
think is looking good.
Okay.
Just don't draw any eyebrows because you don't need them. Now, I personally like to finish my graphics like this. There has to be an end to the graphic. I don't like it when sometimes the color is just left loose. I find it quite disturbing. Many amateur artists also leave it loose because they don't know what to do or how to add something. So it's a personal preference. There is no right or wrong to it. Um, another thing that you can explore. So before we paint, I just wanted feedback. Were you able to translate the photograph into just something like that easily enough? Or is this something that you've done before, or did you find that this was something new you did?
It was quite interesting for me. There is something unique, yet
Mm-hmm.
knowing the proportions.
Nice.
It
Very
is,
nice.
yeah.
It's looking so nice. The eyes is looking so beautiful.
On the
Thank
right side,
Yeah.
bring the hair down up to the ears.
Okay.
Yeah, on this side, yeah. Let's see, Ashrita is very nice.
Nice.
Ashrita, bring the hair down. See, look at the hairline. Right now, it's looking like it's a cap on top. So you need to bring the hair along sides to the ear and then from the outside also. And we're going to be coloring it. So even if your line is dark, it doesn't matter. All
I
right.
find that bit about age, how do you show the aging through this? I find that very interesting because I see that just by the shape of the face, my figure is looking younger.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
it,
Sorry. It's
is
looking
there
like a
something?
child. Yeah, it's looking like a
Yeah,
child, no?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
also felt that.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you like, of course, this was not intentional, which is why I am asking.
this
Uh,
is something I'm going to give you the answer, but these are the things that you can note down also. But the changes over here, I'll tell you, are how it is strange that our brain can identify this, though you have not yourself drawn it. There's something about faces that we've seen for so many years that we can identify between an old face and a young face without knowing why. Now, here's what happens. As we age, everything in the body is growing, like I said, except the eyeball. That is pertinent to drawing the proportion of the pupil inside the eyelids. That's one. But what it also means is that everything around the eyes is growing. Our noses get longer, the face stretches up, the hairline starts moving away. So if you were born with a forehead that's this big, it's now become a third the size, larger by the time you're in your 50s or 40s. So everything else is stretching outward from the eyes. So if you want to show a face that is slightly older, you can pull the nose lower a little bit, pull the mouth lower a little bit, condense this. Sometimes you can expand it. The ears become longer, the hairline recedes a little bit. So all of that will make the face look a little more mature, I'd say.
Sure. Interesting, really interesting.
Oh, it's fascinating. I love this.
Yeah.
There's another thing that also I have said this before, and maybe you might, if you've attended the portrait class before, there's a reason why we have eyebrows. Have we discussed this earlier? Do you remember this?
Yeah, you told me, told us because of the sweat. They used to, yeah, while running, you sweat and the sweat does not go into your eyes. That's why the eyebrows were
Yeah, so
just there.
apparently humans are one of the few creatures that sweat, and that's why we can run long distances. And it is believed that otherwise eyebrows have no other function other than, of course, expressions. And those are very important for our survival as well, because you can say something, but if the face does not match what you're saying, you could just be slaughtered. So that is one reason. The other reason is that also that gives you the reason for why the eyebrows are shaped like this is that the efficiency of the design is that it catches all the sweat from the head, which also sweats a lot um, before it reaches the eye, and then creates a channel for the sweat to drop on the sides of the eyes so that you are never not able to see. Our eyes are very important for our survival. And I suppose those Homo sapiens that did not evolve with eyebrows have died out. So there's a reason why our eyebrows are important for us. In terms of illustration, it helps to know this because then you don't have to remember which side you have to make fatter, which side you have to make thinner. You know that the line of the eyebrow has to go around the eye. It can't just come in to the corner of the eye. You realize all these things without even having to memorize them. All right, so now the coloring of the face is fairly simple. I would recommend that
Sorry
first,
to interrupt, but I need to go, Aditi. So I'll catch this up in the
not a
recording.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a
Okay.
problem.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So since we have these colorful flowers and that fruit and all, I would say that first paint that with a few washes of color because you don't want to make it like a color by numbers situation. So I'd make something that flows into these flowers. Use use the bright oranges and yellows. And let it bleed very beautifully. The eggplant on in the ear also can get a nice bright color and give it a highlight so that it looks like a fruit, not just a uh, designer vegetable earring. Now, while these are drying, you can paint the eyes with a thin brush. To make it a little realistic, you can paint the eyes in a flat, watery brown color. But there's no need to. You can also paint them green if you want. First, we paint this entire section in this flat color. You can do a color bleed also into this, but I would refrain from that because I just want to control the outcome over here. And then if you want to, the whole rest of the face can be colored a nice chocolate brown color, like the ears and the neck, because we can't obviously leave that white.
You've used a brown for the eye or an orange?
Brown.
For brown.
It's burnt umber with a little bit of burnt sienna. And in this, I'm using the same color, but more towards the burnt umber side. We could have painted the beads also before this. No, I'm forgetting. Lovely. Now, once this is painted, you can use a pencil to make a line, make it from the center of the face, but don't make it too straight. Make it wobble just a little bit. Down the mouth, down the lips, just a little curved line like this. And here we can mark the different dots, the shape of the dots. Make them slightly ovalish, squarish, and look for some kind of a pattern. It may not be exactly a very accurate pattern, but it will still be a pattern nonetheless. Now here again, you have the opportunity to make this into a design of your own. You could think of other things that are black and white and substitute this with that. You could, in fact, just make even polka dots if you want. In the face, we see that the dots follow the contour of the cheek. But because we are making just a graphic, we don't need to stick to those references to make this a three-dimensional image. In order to make this look a little less structured, you can also add extra bits here and there. Beautiful, beautiful pattern. And you can repeat the same on the other side. Though one might argue, why not just directly make it in paint? Well, I feel that as much as it's okay to make it in paint, also giving some kind of structure generally helps, especially if we're doing the same on the other side. Now, when painting this, you have to be very careful. So do this very slowly, not when you're distracted. And if it is a pure black painting, you can also use, if you have it, black ink. Now, I often use waterproof ink for drawing. So I have it handy and I just can use the same thing to paint these
And
dots.
what's the reason behind doing that, Aditi?
One is that waterproof ink is, this particular waterproof ink is a very nice black color.
Okay.
Our watercolor black is a little gray. It dries up and becomes gray. So I won't get the dark black effect that I'd like. And secondly, uh, I guess it's just easier to draw with drawing ink than with watercolor. But right now, I want to finish this bit of watercolor ink in this inkwell because it is thickening up, and I don't want to put this back in its own bottle.
So when we're doing the white on this side,
Mm.
we'll have to paint the black in between.
Yes, negative painting. But this side, you paint around.
I was thinking of doing zebra stripes. I
Oh, yeah,
was
why not? Do it. Let's see how it looks.
so it would be one black, one white. Then
Yes, but
actually a zebra is white on. No, how does a zebra? It's opposite of what it appears to us. So it's
well, my contention is that the zebra is black stripes on white because its underbelly is white.
yeah.
So it looks like those stripes were painted on
So
afterwards. But that's just, this is like one of those questions that
con-
people like to
yeah.
throw out to confuse. Is a zebra white on black or black on white? Now, just for to differentiate between the skin and the hair, we can also paint the hair a completely different color. It does not have to be black. It can be brown as well, or it can be blue. One more advantage of using ink is it sits flat even if you layer it.
Yeah.
So I won't get any streaks. Okay, before this, I finish all of this, I want to show you how to finish the eye. Right now, the eyes are looking quite flat and blank. So in this, we need to do two things. We need to put in a shadow and then we need to darken the pupil. So you can take the same color of the eye and darken in a crescent shape on the top part like this. So imagine an oval shape at the bottom of the iris that has light and the shadow is on top. And once this dries, then we can make the lens a little dark. The pictures that I've shared with you today, you can try making similar artworks with all of them. Huh? Now, just here by the edge of the nose and the nostril, I'm going to leave a little black, sorry, not black, a little white highlight on the top of the nose and the edge of the nostril, because otherwise it'll just look flat, like I've eaten up his nose. But the eyelid I have eaten up completely. Upper wala. You can do the same thing to the mouth as well. Just a little bit at the base of the lower lip and maybe a little bit on the upper lip. Don't paint it black. And I'm using the same ink to paint the pupils, the lens black inside the pupil. So as you can see, that highlight makes such a difference in how realistic or how alive the eyes look. Without the highlight, the face, the eyes just don't cut it. And even this has a reason. When the person or the creature is alive, and it's true even in the case of animals, that there's some uh, there's some kind of almost moisture in the eye or something like that that makes the eyes look like they're alive. And the moment the animal is dead or the life has left the body, the eyes just become like a little stony, not glassy, but stony. And you can, what you notice is that the highlight is not that distinctly visible. It's a sad observation that I've made many times rescuing cats. So, some positive out of it. I could study the effect of loss of life on body parts.
I think the early artists also studied all the dead bodies and
Yeah, yeah.
from the morgue.
Yeah, Da Vinci did that. For an artist, everything is something to study. It sounds really morbid, but in that, in a body, there's so much to study.
We'll have to use the ivory black.
Ivory black.
Or
Are you using tubes?
oh no, I'm using the cake.
Yeah, so use that black.
Yeah.
Is it called ivory black? I thought it was just black.
Black.
Uh, I have actually the 48 shade cakes. So it's
Okay.
called ivory black.
All right. You can use whichever black remains black.
Yeah.
I think that has two blacks in it, right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
has, oh no, it just has ivory black. It has Payne's gray.
Yeah. No, we need to just use black. Black, normally they just keep one in the set because there isn't much in a kit like this that varies in a black like it does in blues and greens and
Yeah,
all of the other
but
colors.
I can see why you're using this ink because it's got a very different effect.
Yeah, it just sits flat. It is very opaque.
Yeah.
So dramatic. The ink that I'm using is an imported ink called Noodler's ink, Noodler's India ink.
Okay.
I think it should be available at on Amazon also and one of these fancy stationery stores that sell
Yeah.
fountain pens. Because I use the same ink for also fountain pen drawing in with fountain pen.
I'm sure Art Lounge will have it.
Art Lounge should have.
There's also some others, no, like Doc Martin. Is it? That's also
Yeah,
ink
yeah.
manufacturer.
Yes, Dr. Martin.
Doctor.
Right. So, yeah, I guess this is it. The rest you can decide on how you want to paint it. I think I'm going to paint the hair cerulean blue or something, just
Mm.
some pop, as if there isn't enough pop.
Even a red would look good, like a magenta
Red, but red will take away the
flower.
flower.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hmm.
For
Huh.
once, I think we are finishing on time.
Yeah, it's looking very nice.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? I love it.
Hmm.
Really lovely. So I think you can use the same ideas and recreate at least one more picture during the week to practice. If not the whole face, at least practice this part. Practice drawing the eyes just as a formula. But also don't just stop at this proportion. Just because I've told you that this is the proportion doesn't mean that you should not experiment some more. So, for example, think about changing the proportion a bit and saying, what if I change the horizontal instead of keeping the eye line in at horizontal half, I'll take it a little higher, the nose a little longer, and the mouth even lower than that. What kind of face will I get? And you could land up with a very peculiar face. Whatever you do, it will still be a face because we are trained to see faces in the weirdest of places. And that will give you that sense of age or gender or emotion.
This is reminding me of those. There used to be those film, where they would just show the eyes
Uh-huh.
And guess actors and actresses, guess their eyes, guess the actor.
Yes, yeah. You will see a lot of familiar faces in all these cartoons that you make. This one is looking like, whom am I thinking of now? Oh my God, her name just came and went. Oh, I have a cousin who looks like this. All right. Any questions?
No. Next class is Wednesday, which is it's not any Ganpati thing.
I think it's in the middle of Ganpati. It will be I think, 11th. Is it?
11th,
Today's the 4th, so it'll be the 11th. Yes.
11th, 11th.
Yeah.
I don't think I think I'm traveling that day.
Oh, okay. Let's see who all are attending.
I will
Yeah.
be there. I think I'm
Okay.
around.
Or can we
So
do it on
today,
10th?
Can we do it on 10th, on Tuesday? No. So Tuesday I have
Yeah,
two
well,
other batches now, so I won't be able to do
or
it.
earlier in the day on 11th will work. At 6
Yeah.
in the
6
morning
is
or
good.
should we? No, no,
Yeah.
6 is not possible. Like I have a 6 o'clock, the boat is at 6. So
Do you want to do it in the morning?
yeah, morning I'm okay if anyone else is, if
Uh,
everyone else is.
if we plan right now, I'm good with morning also.
Okay.
All right. So I'll
So
check
just
with
put-
Livia also,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe we can have it at 11 in the morning. Does that work?
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine.
11 on the 11th.
Will you mention in the group when you come?
Yes, I'll do that on the group itself.
I'll also complete. I'm quite excited to complete this.
Very good. Okay, cool. So complete it, share it on the group, and
Yeah,
I will be able to share this recording much sooner. The earlier one is waiting for me to finish the texture. Once that is done, I think I'll share both of them today.
sure, sure. Thanks.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I'll see you next week. Bye.